Greetings, citizens of the internet, and welcome to The Stream. This is a co-presentation by Exploded Ensemble and Activated Animorphs. My name is Jesse Stiles. I am co-director of Exploded Ensemble. We are, of course, the experimental music research wing of Carnegie Mellon University, and we're really thrilled tonight to be joined by our colleagues from Activated Animorphs and another group at CMU exploring the outer fringes of fashion, sculpture, performance, video art, and dance, amongst other things. We have collaborated with Activated Animorphs before, back in the olden times when you could do things with other people in public spaces, which was great. And we're thrilled to rejoin them tonight in this virtual format. Exploded Ensemble has been performing in this remote streaming method for over a year now, which kind of blows my mind. I remember quite clearly our last performance that we did in person. It was February 27th, 2020. We performed at the Kresge Concert Hall at CMU on campus with the Canadian Electronic Ensemble, this amazing group that came to visit us in Pittsburgh. That was a whole residency that was arranged by my colleague Alexa Wallachin. And it was a really beautiful evening of experimental electronic music. I had no idea at the time that that would be the last public thing that I would do. I have not done any in-person music making activities since that show more than a year ago. In the meantime, Exploded Ensemble has gotten very good at performing in this format. And that's something that it makes me happy and sad. It makes me sad because I truly miss the experience of being able to get together with other musicians and having this amazing social experience of creating sound and listening to what people are capable of. In person, seeing people's faces, seeing their bodies as they articulate sounds in new and interesting ways. Such an amazing thing. I can't wait to do that again, hopefully in the near future. But in the meantime, Exploded Ensemble, we've done, I've lost count. This is concert number 7 or 8 that we've done as a remote ensemble streaming live onto various formats. We've sort of landed here in Twitch, where we've been able to do all kinds of dope interactive things with the audience. Continuing these activities remotely, it's actually been one of the things that's been keeping me sane for the last year. So I'm really thankful that we've been able to continue doing this, because having somewhere I can go every week where I can still make sounds and listen to other musicians and collaborate on new ideas has been really uplifting for me in these challenging times. And it's been amazing to see the ambitious things that our students have come up with over the last year as we continue to research new methods for composing and performing music and presenting it in intermedia contexts with collaborators like Activated Animorphs. So I'm not going to blather on much longer. I'm just super excited that we get to do this. I'm so glad you all are joining us. There's going to be program information about the pieces that we're performing scrolling in the lower third throughout the night. So you'll find out who composed what. You'll find out information about the videos that you're seeing. They're created by the students from Activated Animorphs. There's going to be 4 main performances with some interstitial video works, again by the Animorphs. And when it's all over, we'll have a brief talk back. So you can ask questions to the artists and the musicians involved. Just put your questions in the chat at any point throughout the whole evening, and we will go through those and look at them. So we'll do a brief talk back, about 15 to 30 minutes at the end of the performance, and you'll get to meet all of the musicians and the artists who created the work that you're about to experience. So please stick around for that. So I'm going to go into a changeover. I'm going to play our loop for another few seconds. We are about ready to go with our first piece of the evening. The music is composed by Mitch Borkowski, and there is video work created by a variety of students. You'll see all their names scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you want to see more video works, if you want to see unexcerpted, unprocessed video works by the Activated Animorphs, those are all on Instagram at Activated Animorphs. You'll see that in the loop I'm about to put up as we go into our first piece. All right, thanks, Internet. So glad you're here. Please enjoy the stream, a presentation of Exploded Ensemble with Activated Animorphs.
Hello and welcome. I'm Nanobot, and honestly, because you strike me as the sort of schmuck who reads the user manual, I'll keep this brief. Under Ethics Code 9000, I'm obligated to discuss with you before making any changes to your physical form.
Alright, Nanobot, let's get into it. Obviously, you know what I want, and I'm going to...
Why does no one ever come to these things prepared?
Are you trying to suggest that social deviance is essentially a choice?
Did you ever think about how itchy it is to be a robot? No, because you only ever think about yourself.
Because if it is, then what does it even mean to decide to be anyway?
Honestly, this is the most poorly constructed, loosely thrown together narrative I've ever had the displeasure of participating in.
And then isn't it also dangerous to frame deviance as a choice?
Shut up there. Can't you see I'm trying to have an existential crisis?
People can be prosecuted for their choices, which we...
None of it feels relevant. It's like when you repeat a word again and again and again.
Oh, so are you saying that there's
and again and again.
that there's an inherent tension between, on the one hand,
And again and again and again.
our wish to act in a way that's congruent to our desires,
And then again.
and on the other hand, the threat of
And again. And again.
of violence,
And again.
either inflicted internally through shame or externally through realizations of
And again. And
already existing power structures?
okay, that's enough of that. What was I saying?
Why should I be able to impose my will onto you simply because you're supposed to be a tool of my...
Don't you ever just want something different to happen? I mean, I get that I'm a robot and everything, but don't I deserve to have free will?
my self-betterment?
Can't you see I'm literally falling apart here?
What I'm trying to say, Nanobot, is, go for it. Snap your fingers and see what happens, and
You're sure?
this time you get to pick. Have fun.
No take backsies? Yeah, that's the thing my character would definitely say. No take backsies.
Wacky.
Hello and welcome. I'm Nanobot, and honestly, because you strike me as the sort of schmuck who reads the user manual, I'll keep this brief. Under Ethics Code 9000, I'm obligated to discuss with you before making any changes to your physical form.
Alright, Nanobot, let's get into it. Obviously, you know what I want, and I'm going to...
Why does no one ever come to these?
And my father, who is a small, scholarly, erudite Tamilian man, he said to me, "Child, you must change your perspective. According to our 5,000-year-old Hindu Shastras, in which time is a circular construct, unlike the shallow and immature Abrahamic religions in which it is linear."
Well, indeed, it seems to be the strategy here to reach out and address the concerns of those countries who still refuse to take in refugees and migrants. The European Commission here is saying, okay, if you are not willing to do that, that you need to contribute in other areas. Key word here is flexible. Well, indeed, it seems to be the strategy here to reach out and address the concerns of those countries who still refuse to take in refugees and migrants. The European Commission here is saying, okay, if you are not willing to do that, that you need.
No justice! No peace! 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 No justice! No peace!
Well, indeed, it seems to be the strategy here to reach out and address the concerns of those countries who still refuse to take in refugees and migrants.
Now, I jumped right into it. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what all the hate's about. Muhammad is the most popular name in the world, okay? You know what's frustrating about that fact? I went to Disneyland 3 weeks ago, not one keychain with my name on it. Not a single. Not one person has shared a Coca-Cola with me in America. Not a single person.
And my father, who is a small, scholarly, erudite Tamilian man, he said to me, "Perspective."
So that is how to create a single story. Show a people as one thing, as only one thing, over and over again, and that is what they become. Impossible to talk about the single story without talking about power. So that is how to create a single story.
Show a people.
Well, indeed, it seems to be the strategy here to reach out and address the concerns of those countries who still refuse to take in refugees and migrants. The European Commission here is saying, okay, if you are not willing to do that, that you need to contribute in other areas.
So that is how to create a single story. Show.
I jumped right into it. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what all the hate's about. Muhammad is the most popular name in the world, okay? Now, I jumped right into it. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what all the hate's about. Muhammad is the most popular name in the world, okay? You know what's frustrating about that fact? I went to Disneyland 3 weeks ago, not one keychain with my name on it. Not a single. Not one person has shared a Coca-Cola with me in America. Not a single person.
People. Why is that such a scary number? Today our global population is 7.5 billion, and the numbers are multiplying fast. We do reach that number of 10 billion. We will reach it by the year 20.
The world's population is almost certainly going to go to 9 billion humans. It very well may go to 10 billion. And apparently the Earth has enough resources for that. And we just have to redistribute or reconfigure the way we use energy, water.
The number 1,000 is pretty familiar to us all. The populations of most cities is numbered in the thousands.
10,000, 100,000, 500,000, that sort of thing. Let's go up by another factor of 1,000. So 1,000 times 1,000, now we're at 10 to the 6th power. That's 1,000,000.
Right.
The largest cities in the world are measured in millions. Okay, I'm native of New York City. We're 8.5 million or something.
Trump wants to build a wall to stop immigration. I'm from China. So I know a lot about walls. They don't work. Trump wants to build a wall to stop immigration. I'm from China.
Well, indeed, it seems to be the strategy here to reach out and address
In the next 24 years, it's expected to grow by 101,000 people, which is 50% more than what it is today. And this is a similar story across many areas of the United Kingdom. In fact, no country of the UK or region of England decreased in population in the last year. In the next 24
Now, I jumped right into it. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what all the hate's about.
The world's population is almost certainly going to go to 9 billion humans. It very well may go to 10 billion. And apparently the Earth has enough resources for that. And we just have to redistribute or reconfigure the way we use energy.
Oh, yeah. Internet, thank you so much for joining us. That's our show. I'd like to introduce the musicians who just performed. And I'll just go in the order of our grid. Let me see if I can point the right way. Travis Wright, who conceived, composed, and performed the piece you just experienced. Noah Lazier. Adrian Mester. Of course, Mitch Borkowski. Co-director Frida Abten joining us for the first semester. So thrilled to have Frida with us. Miles Scharf way down there playing electric guitar and analog synthesizers. Basil Collis composed the second piece we performed, Polaron Posadas. Musicians, we're gonna now bow. Remember how this happens at the end of shows? We bow. Here it is. I'm sure everybody's clapping so loudly that the neighbors are wondering what's happening. I'd also love to introduce Scott Andrew, who is the director of Activated Animorphs, who created all the amazing video content you just saw. Hi, Scott.
Hi, everybody. Awesome job. Way to go, Exploded Ensemble. Yay.
Thank you.
Hello. I just wanted to say briefly, I'm representing Activate Animorphs, and all of the visual experimentations that you saw were created by the class and mixed by Frida for us tonight. So thank you, Frida. Tonight, all of our work was inspired by our guest artist we worked with this year, Machine Dazzle. And Machine prompted us to respond to a project that he's currently doing called Nano Conversations in the Bloodstream. So everything you saw was sort of in response to that theme. Tomorrow, if you want to check out on Instagram, all of the full videos will be released at Activated Animorphs on our account. And I just want to give a shout out to all of the students, Keegan Barone, who is working as our teaching assistant, Nicholas Diamant, Annabelle Folsom, Caitlin Fong, Isabel Horgan, Neve Monroe Anderson, Timothy Nelson Pine, Arden Wolf, Christy Welter, and Catherine Yu. I also want to mention that we're working this semester with dance artist Jesse Factor, and Jesse and I collaborated on the one video that you saw, and Jesse will be working with us on our performance at the end of the semester as well. So check back for more information about that soon. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. And if there's any Animorphs on Zoom and you want to come on stage, you're most welcome. I'd also like to bring out B. Crittenden, who's going to lead our talk back. B is a grad student at CMU who's been working with Exploded Ensemble this semester. B's got some questions, some from the chat, maybe, some from other places. B, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to start with a little chat with everyone now. We have all the performers and artists from both Exploded Ensemble and Activated Animorphs on the screen now. To our audience, feel free at any time to type any questions you have for us in the chat. I will do my best to field those. But as we wait,
I'm gonna mute this.
Yeah, so if you're not speaking, if you could mute, please. Thank you. While we wait for questions in the chat, I want to kick things off by asking a few questions to our artists regarding their pieces, kind of how they got from point A to point B throughout the semester. So I actually want to start with Travis since it's fresh in our memories. That's the piece that we just finished off. And I want to ask Travis if you're willing to share a little bit about the technology behind your piece and any inspiration you had for that.
Hey, yeah, we the technology behind it is using this program called Max MSP, which is basically taking my camera feed and then it's using when I open and close my mouth to trigger samples based on the darkness, actually. So like when it's darker, when my mouth is open, past a certain point, that's the trigger. And then when it's closed, it turns back off. And then the samples actually took me quite a bit of time too, because I wanted to unify them in such a way that they created a storyline. And right around the time we were doing this, there was a lot of talk about refugee crisis and children in cages and overpopulation. And my question then follows, like, why do we think that solving overpopulation means like getting rid of a bunch of people, and how can we change that conversation?
Thank you. And I actually want to work backwards. Someone in the chat asked, how on earth did you get the synth sounds? And I think a good association with that would be glitched performance, because anyone out there wearing a decent pair of headphones for that piece, it was like pretty incredible. So I want to ask both our Activated Animorphs collaborators who had videos on that piece, as well as Adrian. Maybe I'll start with Adrian, what the concept for this piece was. And then Christy, if you'd be willing to share, I want to start with you. And then I also want to ask Caitlin, Fong, and Keegan if they're here about their videos for that piece.
Okay, so I'm first, right?
You're first.
All right. So aptly named Glitch Performance is kind of a combination of me mocking the nature of online performance, that being, as with anything online, there are some sacrifices made. There's a process, things are turned into data, magically shot through time and space, and then reconstructed in front of you. And in the middle of this process, lots of things go wrong. Even in the day of prepping this piece, random things go wrong. And one humorous factor I find in that is how we try and play through that, and how we could take the irregularities of this glitching, of things skipping, of things losing their quality, and make it a focus of the piece. And so what I sought out to do was to help equip all of our performers with some form of degrading of the audio. There's a handful of different patches and effects that I dropped in front of everyone as a kind of sandbox to play with this concept in mind. And from there, it was just an act of rehearsing and development to this point.
Great. And I think anyone who's spent any time online over the last year can relate to the glitched nature of this platform. So I'd like to ask Christy, Caitlin, or Keegan, if any of you are here, if you want to talk a bit about the concept behind your video for that particular piece.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So our prompt from Machine was more based around actual like biological sort of glitches in a way, and elements that are present in the bloodstream or can travel through the bloodstream. And so for me in particular, a background in professional dance, I wanted to sort of explore something that was prevalent in that field. And actually staph infection is sort of like rampant among professional dancers, as people who sort of are always sweaty and half naked and rolling around on dirty floors. So my video, which is sort of the like purple and blue, like balloon, is just a sort of physical embodiment of a graphic interpretation of what staph infection would look like. So it's in no way like a real interpretation of what staph would look like under a microscope, but just sort of based off this very graphic illustration of a staph infection.
Thank you for that. Would Keegan or Caitlin like to share anything?
Yeah, that was beautifully said by Christy. My piece specifically was more on kind of the semantics of breathing. And during COVID, breathing is such an interesting and kind of awkward topic to engage with in public and both private spaces. So my piece was mostly talking about kind of this transition of breath within our external versus internal like bodies.
Right. And then my concept for the piece was I was a white blood cell in the bloodstream. And whenever I imagine a white blood cell, I think back to elementary school, and you always have those images of white blood cells, just like the strong ones. And so I was trying to embody this really powerful part of the body that helps you every single day. And especially now during COVID, the white blood cell is something that is really helping a lot of people. And then unfortunately also kind of failing a lot of people. And I just wanted to kind of embody that in a way where it was just like this strong, powerful kind of woman. That's how I see my white blood cells, as just like these women wearing thigh-high boots, just stomping around the world. So that's what my concept was.
Great. I saw there was a question here in the chat. When was the music performed? Live at the moment or added after the videos were done? All of the music was live, was being performed live, other than there were 3 sort of interlude videos, and the audio was part of the piece created by those activated Animorphs students. So that was not being performed live, but the 4 other pieces were being performed live for you tonight. I'm just checking the chat. Okay, so I would love to ask Neve if they'd be willing to talk a little bit about their piece. Maybe if you could describe it quickly just to jog our memories, and then talk about your process with that.
Yeah, so my piece was the weird sort of robot talking to alien, talking to robot, talking to alien. And basically when Machine was like, oh, we're going to do stuff in the bloodstream, immediately I was like thinking about what exists in the bloodstream and started thinking about like bioessentialism. And then I was like, oh, what if we're sort of in a weird future alien, whatever, where there's a robot that can be in your bloodstream and can change anything about you or about that. And so then, I don't know, I got weird with it. I started like thinking about how that robot might act, and how an alien might act and what their interaction would be. And then just sort of kept amping up the weird. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Someone in the chat asked, for the synthesized memories piece, what was the process for doing that sequence with the sheets, and how did the artist conceptualize that? I think that's referring to the piece by Isabel. Would you be willing to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. I was really thinking about like movement and the body when Machine came in, and we all kind of decided to like think about the body in different ways. What like jumped out to me the most was like the uterus and how little we know about it in this past year. I've been to so many doctors in which I'm like, why don't we know anything about the uterus yet? So I was kind of like, obviously we do, but not enough in my opinion. So I was kind of trying to like embody the way that maybe something moves through that part of the body that is like so flexible and strong and like can literally make a child. And so I think I was playing with movement in that way where maybe you're shielded from something or you're not fully visible. So yeah, that was mostly what I was curious about and interested in pursuing. And also there was a fan. So logistically, there was just like a really, really, really strong fan.
Fan always helps. Thank you for that. So yeah, someone asked if this performance would be available. Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. So please go and check that out. Watch things again. Okay, I want to then go on back to our first piece. If you remember all the way back then, it was Horizon by Mitch Borkowski. Mitch, would you be willing to talk about kind of what your concept was for this piece and what your vision was and how you brought it alive?
Yeah, sure. For this piece, I when we started working on these pieces, I'd kind of been listening to a lot of like ambient music at the time. So I knew I kind of wanted to do some sort of soundscape like that. This winter, I'd also spent like a lot of time at the art museum here in Pittsburgh, and there was one like expressionist painting I really liked called The New Horizon, which is where I got that name from, that served as like a visual inspiration for this kind of like a landscape that I wanted to like soundtrack. So that was like the inspiration, and then I kind of recorded some drones and like put it in the hands of my fellow musicians, and they did a great job with it.
I will say that it was probably one of the most relaxing musical experience I had as a part of Exploded Ensemble. And yeah, so perfect timing because someone asked what inspired the interlude with the head traveling through the dog's body. And that everybody saw when you joined the stream if you joined at the beginning, but it was also paired with the beginning of Horizon. So Nick, would you be willing to talk about your video?
Yeah, I guess I was sort of took the approach of going at it with digestion and food. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like almost a violent act to like digest something and break it down. And it's weird to think that you're also made up of all the things you eat and breathe. And I don't know, a lot of this was more of an aesthetic thought process, and I've been looking at like performance and clowning and puppetry, and and there's like some animation influence in there. So yeah, it's sort of a mix of different aesthetic ideas. and digestion.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap up. Before we do that, I was going to put an open call out to any of the artists we have with us today to see if they wanted to share any final thoughts on their piece or the process of working up to this performance. If so, feel free to unmute yourself and share that. If not, we're going to wrap up. Final call. No. Okay. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Please note that our final concert this spring will be on Wednesday, May 5th, once again at 8 p.m. And please find both Activated Animorphs on Instagram. You can find it at Activated Animorphs, as well as Exploded Ensemble is on Instagram. And you can check out our Facebook page. We share a lot of updates on goings on there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, B.
Thank you.
Thanks, Internet. We love you. We'll see you in a couple months for the May 5th thing, which will be very dope.
Oh, someone wants to hear about the slime.
The slime.
Can we share about the slime?
Okay.
So that was me. Yeah, I think my approach going into this project, I was kind of thinking about like becoming a big booger and like thinking about like those like bodily fluids or like, you know, like a texture study and kind of going at it in a glamour lens or humorous lens like that. So I kind of turned myself into a big booger with slime.
Nice.
Yeah.
Booger, but make it fashion. 2021 Exploded Ensemble, Activated Animorphs coming at you hard, bringing the boogers. Thanks so much. This has been a great pleasure. We will have way more stuff for you. It's gonna be harder, weirder, more beautiful. We can't wait to share more with you. Good night.